I often say that the conflict in America is like watching a massive couple on the rocks. And I say that as a social scientist. One of the interesting things about all conflict, whether it's people who can't get along politically or a couple that's on its way to divorce court, is it's all based on the same kind of conflict. And that conflict is this mistaken idea that I love, but you hate. That's called motive attribution asymmetry, which is a real fancy, complicated sounding thing for a very simple idea, that there's an error in the way that we communicate. Most conflicts are based on this error where, like, I love this country. I love it. And you hate it. Obviously, you're unpatriotic. You're rotten in the way that your values are weakening my country. And that person says, no, I'm the one who loves this country and its people, and you're the one who hates it and is not acting in the right way. Couples do the same thing. When couples are on their way to divorce court, according to the best literature, the research shows that, she says, look, I love our family, but he hates me. He acts like he hates me. And he's like, are you kidding me? She's the one who hates. I'm the one who loves. And if you can resolve that, it's a huge opportunity for people to actually express how they really feel. Unfortunately, most people don't. And that's what's going on in America today. I do a lot of public opinion work. I'm privileged to see a whole lot of data on people's attitudes about this country. The vast majority of Americans, they don't want to live anyplace else. They're proud and they love living in this country. They think the people who disagree with them hate this country. I love, they hate. That's motive attribution asymmetry. We're a massive composite married couple on its way to divorce court, basically, and we got to sort this out. So one of the things that we find is that couples can reconcile in a pretty straightforward way if they actually can be willing to say what they really think. Most people think that you're going to ruin a marriage if people actually say what they think. The truth is the opposite, because most married couples love each other, but they think that the other one hates them, and so they're very defensive, and their defensive reaction makes the other person think that their partner hates. So when you sort that out by people actually become willing to say what they really think, it's better. So that's what I do in a lot of experiments that I've done on public policy and bringing people together. I'll bring Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump supporters together, where it's going to be daggers drawn from the very beginning. And what do? I ask them to talk about their common loves from the very beginning, which actually activates parts of the brain that are dedicated to affection and love and positive emotion. And they can't really find their way back to bitterness and polarization and hatred after that. They talk about their differences in an entirely different way. So for example, I'll bring people together who are on absolute opposite sides of the most contentious debates of the time. Abortion, guns, immigration, whatever it happens to be. And I'll say, we're going to talk about this stuff, don't worry. But in the meantime, I'd like you to tell each other about your kids and grandkids. And oh man, it's like they grow up together, because the conversation, you never hate somebody who's telling you about their kids and their grandkids and the problems that they're having with their teenagers. And after that, they can talk about abortion and be like, yeah, no, they want to understand each other in an entirely different way. And this is a lot more of what we need to do. We need leaders that are willing to do this, as opposed to leaders in politics and media and academia and the schools and even in corporations who are dining out on setting us against each other. See, here's the deal. Hate is very profitable. Anger is profitable. Fear is unbelievably profitable. And we have a motive in our outraged industrial complex in this country, and the political system and the media that feeds it, to get us to not get to that point that really expresses what's written on our hearts. And the result of that is that more than 90% of Americans hate how divided we've become. We don't like our politics. We don't respect what's going on in most of the media. And that's a big opportunity. That's even a profit opportunity, quite frankly. And we just need to figure out a way for people to understand how to do it and how to run with that opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I teach at the Harvard Business School and the Harvard Kennedy School. And at the business school, I have a class that's actually starting in January. It starts every January, the end of January. And it's called Leadership and Happiness. So, I'm the happiness professor at the Harvard Business School, which sounds kind of weird. How is that a business subject? I know. And it's actually, as far as I'm concerned, a core competency of what we're trying to do as we're making our way through the world. But it's also a core competency in worldly success. People are always, thinking, we have this conception that if I'm if I'm successful, and by that they mean money, power, admiration, if I'm successful, then I'll get happiness. And it's actually not true. I mean, grandma told us it wasn't true, but it's not true according to the data. The truth is exactly the opposite. What you find is that people who pursue their happiness in the right and healthy way, they tend to be more successful in terms of the other things. And so what I'm trying to do is change the direction of causality with my students to help them understand what they really hunger for is the faith and the family and the friendship and the service to other people. What they want love and to be loved is what it comes down to. And that's what I talk about in a very scientific way. This is not just self-improvement or counseling or psychotherapy or woo-woo. This is science that we're talking about, the cutting edge neuroscience and social scientific evidence on how their romances can be healthier, how the relationship with their parents can be better, how they can be less lonely and have more enduring friendships, how they can have a transcendental metaphysical walk in their life. Perhaps that's the religion of their childhood. And how all of this can be put together like bricks into a wall that can make them into a complete person who also, not incidentally, winds up being very successful in business. Happiness is not a destination. It's not a destination in the mortal coil. I believe that happiness is only a destination in the supernatural and the eternal sense. While we're alive on this earth, happiness is a direction. The promise that I can give to my students and to anybody watching us is not that you're going to find happiness like some mythical Shangri-La, some city of El Dorado. I believe that you will, but not in this life. However, I can promise that you can get happier. If you understand what happiness is, how to pursue it, if you commit yourself to good and healthy practices that involve faith and family and love of others and service, and if you commit yourself to sharing these ideas, you will get happier is the bottom line. Am I happy? Not yet. Am I happier? Every year.